Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Mindshifters Radio with your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife Jeannie. Michael and Jeannie share with you the wisdom of the ancient Aramaic internal process of forgiveness. They offer tools and support 5 days a week. They will support you in building a solid foundation within yourself to live in pure love. In Aramaic, Rachma. Michael is the author of So Why Is This Happening to Me Again? For more information on Michael and Jeannie, please visit www.whyagain.com. And now your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael and Jeannie Ryce.
To the brightness within you and the truth that is rooted within me.
Hi, and welcome to Mindshifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce. Our call-in number is 646-200-4169. Press 1, and that puts you in queue to talk to us. We'd love to hear your comments or your questions. Today is Friday, and it is actually day 5. I think yesterday I said it was day 5 of the intensive here at Heartland. And we have a group of 30 people. The energy is high, and everything is going awesomely well. We were discussing just before I came up and turned on the radio show. I'm waiting on Michael to come back up the hill. We were late completing class, but we were talking about communication. And real communication is two people or two or more people interacting with words. And real communication is how do, with words, I get my reality out of my mind into your mind intact, without you putting a wall up of defense or I don't want to hear this or thinking of, instead of listening to me, you're thinking of your defense or what you're going to come back with. So how do I get what's in my mind into your mind intact? So we're going through 7 steps of how do I do that. You can find that on our website if you go to www.whyagain, that's WHYAGAIN.com. We're working on a new website that will soon be .org, and you can actually go out and play around with the new website. It's not totally complete, so you'll find links that aren't complete yet, but we're getting there, slowly but surely. But you can go out there and under download worksheets. Communication, responsibility communication is actually one of the worksheets that you can download. So you can go out there and check it out and go step by step. So it looks like we're kind of alone in the chat room, and there's nobody on the switchboard, so I'll just keep talking until Michael gets up here. It is Friday. Perhaps everybody's gone out to cool off in the lake or something because it has been awfully hot here in the Midwest. But we do want to welcome you to the show. Again, our calling number is 646-200-4169, and press 1, and that puts you in queue. So Michael's getting ready to come in the door, and I'm going to hand it over to him. Welcome guests to the show. Responsibility communication. Hi, Michael. I did the introduction, and I told him what we were talking about in class. And so you can tap in and complete that conversation. We don't have any questions or comments yet. So again, if you go to our website, whyagain.com or whyagain.org, and click on Download the Worksheet. There's also where you'll find our Forgiveness Worksheet, which is the main tool that we use. All of the tools have different purposes. There's a link that says, what tool do I use when? So you can click on that, and it'll come and give you some guidance. But, you know, it's sort of like having a toolbox at home. You have hammers and screwdrivers and pliers and different things. And sometimes you need one, sometimes you need the other. They're all important, and they all have a job, and they all perform differently. But that's the way it is with our tools. The Forgiveness Worksheet is our main tool, but then we have a whole lot of others. There's a whole toolbox out there. But the Communication Reality Management Worksheet is just one of them that is out there. You have to scroll down past all of the Forgiveness Worksheets, and then you'll find that down where it says Other Worksheets. Still waiting on Michael to tap in here with us, but I see there's several people on the switchboard and in the chat room. If you want to speak to us, 646-200-4169. If you're on the switchboard already and you want to talk, press 1, and that'll put you in queue to talk to Michael. And Michael is now with us. Hi there.
Hey, sweetheart, I made it.
There's no questions or comments or anything, and I was just telling them about the responsibility communication, told them where they could go to the website and download it. So I turned it over to you, whatever you wanted to talk about today.
All right. Well, our invitation is the same every day, and we'll probably keep doing this invitation for the rest of eternity, and that is that we invite you to be part of the team that changed the world. And we'll see that result from the beginning of the request, that it is a completed process. And that is that, first of all, we invite you to define a human life. Because there aren't words big enough to define a human life. When you hold one of those newborns, there are no words to describe that awesome presence. And so that presence of love is our humanness. And what we're looking to do is to create a place on the planet where it's safe to be in our humanness, where it's safe to experience this gentle, empowering, genius presence that's in each of us that's called love. So that's what we're here to create a space for, and a side effect of that is going to be that together we're going to eradicate war from the planet. Well, how is that going to happen, Michael? War's been around forever. Yes, it has been around as long as people have lived in denial and dissociation. What happens the minute you go into denial, and the way you go into denial is to say, you made me. Now, the result I've created in my life, I dissociate from by saying the words, you made me. I try to put the cause of it outside of myself. And that cause now becomes unchangeable in me. I'm stuck in that cause until I can access it again and remove it. The tool for accessing and removing every cause based in hostility or fear in your life is called forgiveness. Forgiveness has nothing whatsoever to do with letting other people off the hook because of what's happening inside of you. Forgiveness is the tool with which you take what's happening inside of you and you remove it. You hit the delete key. So when we stop blaming everybody else for what's happening inside of us, we're going to create a space where war can't happen. It won't be possible. So that's what we're looking to do. We invite you to be part of the team that's about doing that and bringing that result about in the world. And our calling number is 646-200-4169. We're at Heartland, as Jeannie said. We're in day 5 of a 9-day, well, actually a 9-day, which then turns into a 17-day intensive. So things are just kind of rocking right along here, and all things are moving forward. We've got about 30 people here, and it's just a blast. This morning was just such an awesome session. Major, major, major breakthroughs. A young woman who touched into and experientially dealt with being molested, being raped, being almost murdered, being forced into water to be drowned, being physically abused, and then being forced to sit still for her abuser to dress her wounds like the abuser was loving. I mean, it was just such an amazing space because a whole room full of people are breathing and being with that kind of energy and just transmuting it, just moving through it. I mean, the glow on this woman's face when she finished was just awesome. And we're here to support every mind, heart, and being on the planet, knowing that you don't have to carry anything around in you just less than love, unless you want to. And, of course, if you want to, then, you're welcome to it. But there is a technology, there is a tool with which you can literally remove all hostility and fear from your mind, from your body, from your emotions. It's doable. It's a technology. It was a technology that was brought to the earth about just a little better than 2,000 years ago. And I happen to have had the privilege of getting to work with the words of this man in his original Aramaic language from 2,000 years ago, and slowly have come to understand what he was talking about and how the world has turned everything backward. So we want you to know that forgiveness has nothing to do with the backward idea that we've been taught about. I let you off the hook because of what's happening inside of me. Of course, if I let you off the hook because of what's happening inside of me, I've done absolutely nothing to change what's happening inside of me. Forgiveness is how you change what's happening inside of you. So when you apply the tool of forgiveness, you remove hostility, you remove grief, you remove pain, you remove hatred, you remove vengeance, you remove fear, you remove terror, you remove trauma, so that you don't have to play it out with the next generation. The young woman who went through this scenario, as she completed her kind of first round of it, the next thing to do was to start to look at how she had passed it on and done many of those same things to her son, and her great grief and rage at herself for that. And so grief and rage now come forward for forgiveness. And the tool is available on our website. It's free. Please download it. Please put the pen to the paper. Put it to work. It will change your life for eternity. Where do you find that tool on our website? Well, you go to www.whyagain.com. And on the right-hand side, there's a link that says Download Worksheets. We're working on a new site, which will probably be up in the next couple of weeks, and it will be whyagain.org instead of .com. And on that site, the link's going to be up toward the top of the page. You'll have to look for it a little bit. I'm not sure where it's going to end up exactly. But if you click on that link, there are 7 links that will take you to the worksheet, chapter 24 of my book, and 5 different radio shows that each take you through, walk you through the whole forgiveness process. So we're here to support you. We would love to hear your sweet voice. Any question that you have on where to start and how to start, what to do with it, as you start to use the tool, is there any way we can support you in it? Are there any refinements, questions you have? Your questions are everybody's questions. We have new people on the show every day. So if you're new and you have a question of a newbie, awesome. That will help us to understand better how to explain to you and how to support you in using the tool. And so we invite you to please pick up the tool, put it to work in your life, watch the absolutely miraculous changes that begin to occur. 646-200-4169 is the number. This is Michael and Jeannie. Any questions for us? Anything happening in the chat room, sweetie?
No, there's no questions, and nobody has their hand up.
Nobody has their hand up. So if you and I were sitting face-to-face having this conversation, would you have questions? And I invite you to ask your question.
A hand just went up. Area code 413. You're on the air.
Hi, Michael. Hi, Jeannie. This is Linda calling from Massachusetts.
Hi.
Well, hey there, young lady. Good to hear your voice.
Thank you. I just wanted to check in again with you to thank you for your help the other day with this apparent shoulder injury. It's getting better. I did some worksheets on the Mind Shifter that I had done before the intensive that I went to in April, so I probably started that Mind Shifter in February. But anyway, I still had all the stuff that came up, and I found a lot of worksheet material that I didn't see before. And, of course, none of it really has anything to do with money. It has to do with a lot of it deserving and responsibility and capabilities and things like that. So, and the shoulder is, that's healing. This whole thing is healing. I'm doing better each day. And it's taking me a while to do worksheets because I can't use my right hand, so I'm using my other hand. So, and that's been really interesting, too, to just do it very slowly and
activates a different part of the brain for sure.
Yeah, it's like looking at a little kid's handwriting, and it's been really interesting. And I went to physical. There was a lot of emotional release on sadness and grief too. That when I did these worksheets that night, after talking to you, and then I had a physical therapy appointment yesterday. This great woman, and she was moving my arm through. It was just excruciating, and she said, I have to bring your shoulder out of this protective pattern that you're holding. She said, if you could just let go, and so eventually I did. But it just was so parallel to the way the protective holding patterns that I have emotionally. It was just, when I heard her say that, it really resonated. I was like, wow, this is very interesting. This is kind of like how I think about fear. If I just hold on to it and I just, and I don't know exactly how to articulate it, but if I don't go forward with it, if I protect myself, I'll be safe somehow. And that was like with my arm, my shoulder. It was like just so incredibly painful. But, I knew I had to let her do it because just what needed to be done to promote healing. And anyway, it just reminded me of the worksheet process and the whole idea of being, allowing myself to be with these feelings so that they can be released instead of holding on to, So I've had a lot of time to sit on the couch and do worksheets very slowly for the last few days. So,
a couple of thoughts. One is, there is a worksheet online you can do on the computer on our website, and that might make it a little easier with the writing aspect. And is Ken around by any chance?
No, he's working right now.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe at some point when Ken's around, you can give me a call. We're in class and such, but it'll only take 5 minutes, and I can teach him some orthobionomy over the phone that he can use to support you in moving through this on a physiological level. There's a process that we oftentimes do workshops here at Heartland with called orthobionomy, and it's a method by which you move the body to stimulate the self-healing response, and it's the most awesome thing I've ever seen. So at some point when there's a chance, and you guys are together in about a few minutes, call me, and we'll see if we can connect, and I can walk him through that. It will accelerate the process immeasurably.
So if he were here right now, he would take this call on the phone right now? Or
yeah, if he were there right now, because everybody on the show could make use of it, if he were there right now, I'd walk him through it.
I can call him.
I'd want him to. He'd need to be there with you.
Oh yeah, that's
doing
right.
It.
Okay. Well, that's too bad. But I will give him that message when he comes home, and have him call when we're both together. Okay.
And we hold the space for you to let go of all the burdens you've been shouldering.
Okay. I know,
Very cool.
Yes, okay. I was going to go into some other little story, but I'm just going to be quiet and stay with the space right now. And I really appreciate your support very much. And
well, you absolutely have it. Just pass it on.
Okay. Thank you. Bye, Jeannie. Bye, Michael.
All right. We appreciate you.
Bye. Talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
Area code 702, you're on the air.
702, welcome to the show. I know you're calling from probably Las Vegas or the Las Vegas area. And who's calling?
This is Joanne from the Las Vegas area in and at Heartland.
Heartland. All right. Hey there, young lady.
Yes. I just wanted to share an experience from yesterday, and it was using one of the tools that you have in the Why Again, and it's that tool of communication, the formula that you have, but it just works so perfectly with the way that I was raised, which you probably have heard me say maybe. I was raised in the military. And what that means is my mother was Mildred, and so it was like being in boot camp. So a lot of things we have to, assume a different posture that was, incongruent with what was being experienced. So I learned to do things in that way. And so I know hostility is one of the 4 things that came up on the personal code evaluation. And so I asked
one of your challenges.
Yes. So I asked myself, okay, so I know that the mind is complex and complicated and all this. So I'm like, okay, we weren't permitted to speak in a hostile way, so we had to speak in another way, but would still be angry or whatever it was, upset. So when I started to ask myself this question, how could I be communicating hostility and concealing it from myself, so to speak? So I used your formula, like words are just 7% of the communication. And in our house, we were not allowed to use certain words. I mean, it's like no one ever lied, but we were permitted to use the word story. That was acceptable. Or there were another thing, there are many other words the same way, like what is another one? Like pee or urinate. The word was wet. So the point I'm making is that it has to be an acceptable use of words. So I thought, okay, so I know I learned to use words a certain way that would be acceptable to whomever I was speaking. And then as I look at the next part of the tone, we weren't permitted to rant and rave and all of this other. So I am still very skilled at speaking without a lot of decibels, without ranting, without raving. And I could choose the right words. And, of course, one of the other elements of that is that my family communicates with humor. So often the hostility is couched in the humor so that it doesn't come across immediately that way. But as some of my friends used to say, they don't even know they're told off till they get home, kind of thing. So I was looking at, okay, so 38% of communication, in this case about hostility, is done, speaking in a tone of voice that makes someone able to hear what I'm saying and even not notice the hostility because it's in the humor that's being used with that. And so then the big thing is the physiology. So we certainly couldn't take a certain stand with my mother or the punishment would be more than what you would want. So when I looked at that, I thought, wow, this was a great way to conceal hostility, is to be able to choose the right word. And this is done without thinking. You didn't have to plot it or plan it. It was just an automatic thing.
Right.
Yes, to certain words, to use a certain tone, to speak in a moderate tone of voice, and then to assume a certain physical posture when you're doing all this. So
and it's all an act.
Yes, absolutely. So that was one of the tools that I was able to use to see how am I concealing this. Well, I actually knew that I was. I've said many times before that something to that nature of recognizing that it's a conscious choice to back people out of my space. And my defense was always, I didn't initiate the conflict. We were taught to defend ourselves, and so I defended myself with the use of words and tongue and posture and all this. So it gave me a deeper and a different insight, or deeper than what I had before by just applying your tool for communication. So I just wanted to share that. So then I did a worksheet on hostility.
And what was the result of the worksheet?
Well, of course, I got more insight into myself, and I had already made the choice some years ago to not speak that way, but of course it would still happen and still by choice sometimes. So I feel more committed to coming from the space of my true essence as opposed to coming from you initiated this, I can finish it, you're in my ballpark, kind of thing. So I'm willing to give up my ballpark.
Well, moving from that space, oftentimes the deeper levels, the term to describe doing the right thing for the wrong reason.
Yes.
Called propitiation, and that's what people who have never been properly taught tend to engage in, propitiation. I know I'm supposed to do this. I don't want to, but I'll do it because I'm forced to.
Right.
And until we learn the reasons why you want to do it that way, doing the right behavior for the wrong reason leaves us in a disease state.
Right.
I know that in my family system, sarcasm was considered to be a very high art. It was like, it was admired. If you could come up with the best cutting remark, you were the smartest, you were the quickest, you were the sharpest. And when I started to look at that in my own process, in my own life, as I started to do this work, it became really clear to me that sarcasm was our culture's socially acceptable way of expressing otherwise unexpressible rage.
Right.
And until you deal with that rage, man, it literally is a killer on a cellular level.
Well, I had recognized that but had not accepted full responsibility. I knew that from doing counseling work and as a practitioner as well, that sarcasm is really repressed anger. But I was still holding on to some other defenses. And I know that defense is just maintaining the status quo. So the status quo is crumbling.
Well, we certainly support you through the intensive and being able to open all of that and process through it so that when you're ready to depart from here, you leave that baggage behind.
Thank you.
So anything else to share with what's happening for you at the intensive or what's happened since you've been here? You've been here now, 5 weeks?
Oh, more than 5 weeks. I arrived on May the 20th. So it's been experience and a blessing. Say it again.
Tell us some of what's happening for you. What's your experience?
Well, first of all, in addition to doing the work, I've had an opportunity to interact with other people, and different things come up. Sometimes things that give me an opportunity to do worksheets, and other times something different. I've been able to not only give but receive support. And one of the things that I was really looking for in addition to doing the work, because I am here for transformation, I am here to have a physical, mental, and emotional healing from whatever is undone up to this point. I've been working on for years, but obviously there are still things to be done. And I just, before I ever, a year ago, I'd never heard the name Michael Ryce. So when I did hear about it, I liked the work that you were doing, and I had read chapter 24 in your Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And I talked to Connie Ray, actually, in Las Vegas, who had been here for the intensive. And when she told me about the place here, how remote it is, and the distance to the nearest town, and a number of other things, I thought, well, this is an ideal environment, conducive to me being really focused on what I've been doing and what I've been saying. But in my regular environment, I'm gone most of the day, gone most days in the week, and not a lot of time I have time to do my meditation and devotion every day, but not a concentrated time that I knew that this environment would provide for me, and I have to say that it has. Not only the remoteness of it, but the beauty of the trees, the outdoors. It comes alive at night with all the nocturnal noises and activities, and so and also, I've been around for a long time, so I've been doing some physical stuff, Michael, that I haven't done in many, many years. So,
and how's that working for you?
It's working pretty well. I've been weed whacking. I've been painting, and what that means is that in the process of painting, climbing up on things, I'm 73. So these are not the things that I would be doing normally. I did all of them many years ago as my children were growing up, but now my children are old as I am, so I haven't done those things in a number of years. So it's been fun. And plus
Joanne,
I get to...
Joanne,
Go ahead.
I would have never guessed your age. You look absolutely wonderful.
Well, thank you. I actually feel wonderful, but I recognize that there's still stuff undone. And, Michael, if you would just tell me, again, you mentioned, because I've mentioned part of this before, in the healing that I'm here for, I have experienced the crystallizations in the breast, and you mentioned something yesterday, I think, or day before. But I actually had a dream about it years ago, and the dream said to me basically that I didn't feel appreciated, and that those little hard places in the breast area had to do with it. Basically, it's like, if a person took an injection every day in the same place, it would become hard. And so for all the times that unconsciously I felt unappreciated by my kids and even my mother, there was like having an injection, a toxic one. And so these crystallizations were there. I had a surgery once, and I had the dream before, but that little monkey mind chatter was going on, and I was like, well, what if? So I had the surgery, and meaning biopsies, and then I regretted it, and without going into all those details. So they wanted to do it again later, and I said, no, this time I'm stepping out on faith. Well, I did, and I made some lifestyle changes in terms of, like, I eliminated coffee. That's been 20 years ago. I reduced significantly the amount of sugar. I did a number of other things, but there were still some things going on. So I expect and I'm open to and willing to let go of whatever residual stuff is there, because my intention is to have the transformation that I came here for. And so I thank you for your support. I thank you guys both for having Heartland and all the people here who contribute to its being here. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. And tell me about the crystallization, how you said that.
First of all, thank you for saying thank you. And we certainly have an awesome group of people here, don't we? It's just amazing. And one of the things you can do, especially as you're doing the juice fasting, is that sometimes those crystallizations are simply a compressed energy that doesn't belong there, and oftentimes they're tender, they'll be painful, and you can go in and just gently push on them to the point of, feeling the sensation of the pain that's there, and breathe, and you can actually, with intention and commitment, visualize energy moving through there, and with that physical pressure moving in to the level of your threshold of pain. Don't go over that threshold, and you'll watch those things start to melt, and your body will just dissolve them.
I've actually done some of that, and I will resume doing that again. So thank you. And Jeannie, by the way, that 3 is going to change to a 4 in just a couple of months, as in 74.
Wow. Well, I see you youthing instead of aging. You're just doing phenomenal.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for your call, young lady.
Okay. All righty.
We have another caller, area code 970. You're on the air.
Hey, Jeannie and Michael. It's Carrie from Colorado at Heartland.
Hi, Carrie.
Hey there, Carrie from Colorado at Heartland.
It's so great to be here. You guys are just running such a wonderful program, and watching the videos and doing worksheets and listening to the radio have taught me so much. But being here in person with a group of other people, and Michael, you teaching directly, and Jeannie, your presence here is just really phenomenal. The kind of mega jumps my whole psychobiology is taking here. I'm really excited about it. I wish it could have worked out for me to be here for a couple of months instead of just a week, but here we are. I wanted to bring up, we just talked about in class, the responsibility communication model, and interestingly enough, while you were teaching it, I was writing everything down, and I realized I couldn't even write the sentences down correctly. My mind was so kind of going around and around with all of the challenges that I've had in my relationships and the kind of communication tangles that I've gotten into. And I really, at this point, I can see how the logical mind wants to run the show, and how much it's gotten in my way in my life. And, oh, man, I feel like by the time you got done explaining it, I almost felt overwhelmed, which I know I'll get through. But I'd love some direction on how to really I know we're going to practice here, but I guess any insights would be helpful. It feels like, I'm out of 2 marriages and 1 long-term relationship that didn't end up, succeeding at the level I would have liked it to. And so, I realize I can see my patterns and all that. And even thinking through the exercise and thinking, oh my God, I've got to kind of walk through this with somebody else, actually do the response. I could just feel my brain going into overload and sort of a panic. And I think part of it is this, just all the tangles I've gotten myself into and trying to figure out, the way through that. Am I still even here?
You're still here. My mute button was sticking.
Oh,
but,
okay.
That overwhelm comes from all the times when, for instance, a power person was overwhelmed in their lives, and as a child, not knowing what was going on, and having come from the same genetics as the power person, usually as a parent, that resonating overwhelm from the parent is simply, it's just like the two tuning forks. It just resonates, and that energy of overwhelm is stored in the structure, and around whatever issues your power person became overwhelmed, when those issues show up in your life, you'll tend to go into the same overwhelm because that's what's there, and that's where you want to use every tool we teach, all of the above, the worksheet process, the commitment, everything that we're doing, the communication, the breath, the whole thing. And so until you literally have moved out of your genetics and out of your emotions and out of your physiology, the literal energy of overwhelm. So that's the process, is the forgiveness of that, and creating a space. So I
probably should I even do a worksheet or some worksheets on the overwhelm feeling?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And maybe mind shifters. I mean, obviously, I know you just said all the tools. And I'm thinking, as I go into doing this exercise next, I guess I'll go do some worksheets right now to kind of help me maybe get through a layer of it at least.
That's the idea. You got it.
Okay.
And each tool peels out another piece of that puzzle.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And, again, this is just a tremendous program, and I encourage anybody who's considered being here. It's just a really great experience, fabulous experience for growing to the level of really being able to live this in this world.
That was a really awesome morning, wasn't it?
Oh, man. Every minute's been awesome. Every minute. It's just really, it's cumulative, and it's like being here with all these people is kind of like being in a molecular soup where everybody who's here has committed to change. And even though our stuff comes up, we get to experience that, we also are experiencing how to move through it, how to take it the next step. It's kind of like, I call it being in the pressure cooker, but it's the accelerated track for really activating these things in our lives. I'm so grateful. So thanks, you guys.
Glad to be on the team.
There you go. All right, I'll sign off.
See you in class in a little bit.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, blessings. Take care, bye.
Awesome. Our number is 646-200-4169. Press 1. That puts you in queue to speak to us. We'd love to hear your comments and questions. There's no other question going on right now in the chat room or on the switchboard, Michael. Are you there?
I'm here. My mute button's being a little funky. So, anyway, we're going to be completing here at Heartland in just another 10 days or so, and then we'll be on the road heading to Canada. And we're actually still looking at how we're going to schedule our fall and winter tour. We're planning at this moment in heading west, so if you're in the western and northwestern regions, southwestern regions of the country, give us a call. Let us know that you'd love to see a free series of workshops. You will come and do them. All we need is a venue with a large enough number of people to
Michael, your speaker's doing something. You're difficult to understand.
Okay, let me just see what. Is that any better?
Yes, much. Thank you.
Okay.
So I heard you saying something about us leaving for Canada, and then after that you kind of went garbly.
Well, let's see if we get any better at it. So we'll be heading to Canada a little later this month, or actually the early part of August, and then we're looking at where our tour is going to go. We're looking at heading west. So if you've got a venue in that direction you'd like us to present in, we'll pay our own expenses. We'll do the workshops free. We'll come and play in your community, present these tools. So all we need is an invitation, and if we can work your invitation into this tour, we'll certainly be there. And look forward to seeing you. And other than that, of course, there are videotapes that can be ordered of all the workshops, lots of archives of the radio shows. You can download the book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again, for free. There are at least 5 different radio shows where we've walked somebody through the forgiveness process, and so we're here to absolutely support you and to see you being part of the process of healing ourselves, each other, and the planet. And that's what we're here for. We're here to support you in creating the awesome experience of a human life. That is, the awesome experience of coming from and living in the state of a human being, the state of love, and being willing to forgive everything that is unlike that love that could possibly show up from within you. The way you'll be able to tell whether or not it's within you is, are you feeling it? So if you have the capacity still to experience some form of hostility or fear in certain circumstances, there's your forgiveness work. We invite you to go to the website, whyagain.com. Right-hand side, click download worksheets. And in that section, you'll see step-by-step process for how to start to change those internal dynamics of hostility and fear and exchange them for a human life. Exchange them for living in and as the awesome active presence of love. If there's something about that doesn't make sense to you, that's the reason we're here today. That's the reason we're here 5 days a week from 1 till 2 o'clock Eastern Time. We're in Central Time right now, so noon till 1. That's why we're here 5 days a week, opening the space to have a conversation with you, to support you in using the tools of forgiveness, to support you in the healing of ourselves, each other, and the planet. So if you have a question for us, if you'd like a refinement, if there's something about what we're saying that doesn't make sense, or it makes sense but you don't quite get how to do it, we're here to assist you with that. We're here to support you with that. So please pick up the phone, call 646-200-4169. And we would be delighted to hear your sweet voice and to support you in acquiring and using every tool that we teach. There are about 40 identifiable tools that we have, and we invite you to take them and go to work in life. So, Gene, do we have any questions or thoughts in the chat room? Anybody who's on one of the radio stations that carries our show that doesn't show up in our website, doesn't show up in our control panel, give us a call, 646-200-4169. Ask your question. How can we support you? What would the block be in your life that if you had support, you'd be able to let go of it and move forward? We want to support you in healing that. So join us by calling in, 646-200-4169. How can we support you? Gene, do we have any callers? Anything happening in the chat room?
We have nothing going on in the chat room except just listening, and on the switchboard, nobody has their hand up. So,
well, where is everybody today?
Maybe they're in the lake. It's so hot.
That's true. Well, unfortunately, I think we've had probably, I don't know what the temperature is right now, but it has been crazy hot here, as it has been pretty much everywhere. I mean, we've seen a summer so far here like we've never seen in 23 years. But it did rain last night, and the temperature dropped, and it cooled off today, so that's pretty nice. It's really cool.
Actually, that's supposed to get up to 103 today.
It sure doesn't feel like it. Behold the space that's a fraud. But I know that when I was coming up from the classroom, it was still pretty pleasant temperature compared to what it's been. So. So Jeannie, in terms of, go ahead.
I was just saying at the beginning while I was waiting for you to join us on the show, I was telling them that on the website they can pick up a lot of tools and that each tool addresses different things, just like hammers and screwdrivers and pliers all are used for different things. And so that one of the tools that we had talked about this morning was the communication. And we've already talked about some relationship tools, looking back at early memories and how we've created different aspects in our life. What are some of the other tools that you're going to use here at Heartland this week?
Well,
of course, we did
my commitment. You can go to the website and you'll see on the home page there's my commitment. You can click on that. You can download that in any one of about a dozen or so different languages. And by the way, if you happen to speak a language that we don't have the commitment in, we would love to have it translated so that we can put it on the website so it's freely available to anybody in the world that speaks your language. We're looking and working to bring these tools into every language on the planet so that they become available. Right now, you can download the book in English, German, Russian, Spanish, and Farsi. It has been printed in Swedish, but the Swedish publisher would not allow us to put it online. They were too concerned that they'd lose money over it. So kind of a short-sighted view, but that was their choice. So the book is also available in Swedish. And so those tools are there. There are videos, there are audios, there's written material. I mean, we're actually just switching from whyagain.com over to whyagain.org. The new site will probably be fully live within a few weeks. You could look at it now. It's really just beautiful. There's a couple here that are at the intensive that are support people for putting the site together. And I don't know if Jose Maria is out there. Maria Jose. What am I doing? Your name backward. Anyway, Maria, if you're out there, you could call in and say hello and see how you're doing. And I got your note about the support group and the support that you're getting in Sarasota, which is awesome and fabulous. But between Maria Jose and her brother and his wife, whyagain.org is a growing and happening site, which is pretty fabulous. And there's just so much with making the transfer. They did an assessment of what needed to be done, and we didn't realize that we had over 5,000 pages on the whyagain.com site. And it's going to grow as we make it whyagain.org. So there's lots of gold in every corner. Just start clicking around the website and see what you find. You're going to be shocked at what's there. And if you actually use the tools, it'll be amazing. And you see how your life shifts and changes. So the commitment we have in first person, that I use it for myself in the mirror, and the commitment that I use with another person I'm in relationship with. There's a copy of a business commitment on the website. Communication, did you hear what I think I said? Has a set of communication tools, 7 steps of responsibility communication. Of course, that's available on the website. Getting the stress you need, there's another worksheet. It's called Mind Goal Management, for how to cancel to eliminate stress, how to frame goals, how to set goals, how to undo goals, how to remove stress. That's another worksheet that we have and another set of tools that we use. Of course, Mind Shifters. Mind Shifter is a tool that you do in writing to surface some of those old things and get them to come up so you can change them if you're ready to. The Mind Shifters is another tool, and of course, still point breathing, a way to use the breath. In the ancient Aramaic, it talks about how the Creator sent out His Spirit. In Aramaic, that's not what it says. It sent out His breath. And so we have this direct connection to this awesome flow of creative energy when we choose to breathe into it, and everything starts to change as you do that. There are a few of the tools. Codependence worksheet, that's also available on the website. We'll be doing that as part of this intensive. There's lots happening in that direction. And our calling number is 646-200-4169. If you're on one of the radio stations that is not on our control panel, we would love for you to call in. Push 1. That will put you in queue. I think the queue is open right now, so if you push the button, we'll be talking to you, and we'd love to hear your voice. If you and I were sitting having a one-on-one conversation, nobody else is in the room, what would you be asking me about what it is we're talking about? What would you be asking me about the Aramaic, about the tools, about how this works, about what kind of changes I've seen? If you would just pick up the phone, call us, push 1 once you're on the show, and that 1 lets us know that you have a question or a thought for us, something you want to share or what have you. So, Jeannie, do we have anything happening in the chat room?
Nobody has their hand up. Peacemaker actually made a statement. Okay, I think we've got a lag in time here. We're talking over each other.
There is a little bit of a lag there.
Peacemaker had said in the chat room, sometimes to remove stress, you have to confront it. And I think that's probably about all the time. And that most people find ways to block it and run away. And that was one of the things we had also talked about this morning, was that leaving or running away or avoiding a situation was also like a punishment to either another person or to ourselves. And so I don't know if you want to address any of that. He says, everyone here, I'm assuming he's talking about on this show, which includes you, Peacemaker, thank you, is awesome because they allow themselves to be aware and confront.
Yeah, Peacemaker, we're glad you join us just about every day, and we have your input. And, of course, that's stress. There's a whole video that I do called Getting the Stress You Need, and it looks at exactly how stress is created and precisely how to delete and remove stress, how to purposely, consciously create the kinds of stresses that serve your life, and how to eradicate the ones that don't serve your life. That's kind of the focus of that, Getting the Stress You Need. We have a worksheet which is on the site that goes along with the video, Getting the Stress You Need. It's called Mind Goal Management. If any of the tools that you're hearing about are tools that you'd like to integrate into your life on another level, you can go to our website, and there's a link for products. If you click on the products link, there are 15 different DVDs. Each DVD is a 2-hour live workshop, a live presentation on the particular topic of that DVD. So we've got Empowered to Heal, we've got Purpose, Personal Power, and Commitment, Healing Through Relationships, Codependence to Interdependence, Mind Shifters, and Introduction to Still Point Breathing, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? So there's a whole series of workshops, and each one is a 2-hour live video that lays out the particular tool of that workshop. And you can access that on our website, www.whyagain.com. We would be delighted to hear from you. So anything else happening in the chat room? I think I've lost you, sweetie. Is your mute button on?
No,
oh,
I'm here. We're down to 6 minutes. Nobody has their hand up, and there are no questions.
Okay. Something I'd like to share is that happened last night, actually, in the workshop. It was pretty powerful. Many of you who listen to the show have met Ari, our chef, and the awesome food he put out. We did a 10-day food fun forgiveness. I don't know, we haven't talked with Ari about doing that next year again. But the food was just so incredible, and people had so much fun. And all of the new recipes, I think there are 20 new dressing recipes, and everybody was just raving about the dressings. All of that will be going into the new recipes book, which if you decide to order it, and I'm not sure, we're checking on printing prices right now, but we may have to bump the price of it by $5. It's $25 right now. It's about 160 pages, but I think it's going to end up being probably well over 200 pages of some of the most awesome recipes that you can imagine. And the food has just been superb. And Ari's been doing this work now. I met Ari in 1988, actually. That was before Heartland, and I used to do my intensives at a place called Creative Health Institute in, believe it or not, a town called Hodunk, Michigan. There is actually a town named Hodunk, Michigan. And Ari was at that first workshop. We did a 30-day intensive at Creative Health Institute, and he's been involved in the work ever since. Last night was just so awesome to watch. Ari went through some major processing this week, some major forgiveness work, some major clearing out of old stresses. And there was a young lady in the workshop that was really in difficulty, was really having some challenges. And I had never seen Ari's energy shine like this, but he just came forward actually through most of the evening session. And he was just there so powerfully. My acknowledgments to Ari, and it was just fabulous to watch how he applied the energy field work that we teach and was able to bring about just a huge transformation in this young woman. And it's just the most incredible thing to watch, and the most incredible thing to see people who come in oftentimes in a timid, I can't do anything kind of way, but when they acquire the tools and start to use them, it's just fabulous to see the way that things change and shift, what happens. So it's pretty cool, and accolades to you, Ari, for the food and also for the work that you did last night. It was very powerful.
Peacemaker
Calling number? Go ahead.
Peacemaker says if you've got a moment, if you could share the idea of who Yeshua is.
Oh, cool. That's a great idea. Okay. Well, in this culture, there's a man that's properly referred to as Hail Zeus, the shortened form being Jesus. And the man's name was not Hail Zeus or Jesus. He was a Hebrew man, and as a Hebrew, he wasn't very attractive to the Greco-Roman world. Coming forward with a Hebrew name would have been kind of hard to sell this guy to the Greeks and the Romans. So they looked around for what can we name him? What word will resonate people and get them to come into the fold? So they came up with Hail Zeus, which is what Jesus means. His real name was Yeshua. He was born in an Aramaic-speaking culture. And the Aramaic culture, or the Aramaic language, is an interesting language. It's a language that appeared fully formed in several places on the planet simultaneously. It is a language of peace. It is a language of wholeness. It is a language of healing. There are so many things that can't be said or thought in that language. In our language, that can be said and thought in that language, in the Aramaic. That the translation, when it moves from Aramaic into Greek, and then from Greek into Old English, and from Old English into modern English, there's just so much that is lost. And in particular, what's been lost is the how-to. So this is a man who 2,000 years ago was one of the 6 major world religions that all came out of the Aramaic language, is this man Yeshua. And he teaches us in the native language how to go inside of ourselves and heal our lives. His tools, when you understand that there were tools in the how-to, are absolutely awesome and fabulous, and they change life so dramatically. So that's the man named Yeshua, and I happen to have had the privilege of being the director of a foundation that's been translating a copy of the oldest known New Testament in its original Aramaic language into English. And so that's where the root of this word comes from, is from that ancient Aramaic. And I think we're down to just the last few seconds, so I'm going to just sign off and say thank you for being with us. Bring a stranger tomorrow, and have the best year yet of your eternal life. Blessings.
Not tomorrow, but Monday.
Oh, that's right. Today's Friday already. Monday, yes.
All right. Goodbye. Thanks.
Blessings.